Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-diving into a critical topic that can feel intimidating but is essential for many. Healthcare professionals, ventilator management. Whether you're a new grad nurse, a respiratory therapist in training, or a seasoned clinician looking for a refresher, mastering the basics of mechanical ventilation is a game changer for patient care. We're going to break it down into simple, understandable steps. So let's get started. First things first, let's talk about the primary goals of mechanical ventilation. Essentially, we're reusing a machine to support or completely take over the work of breathing for a patient who can't do it on their own. Our main objectives are to ensure adequate oxygenation, which is getting oxygen into the blood, and ventilation, which is removing carbon dioxide from the blood. We also want to reduce the patient's work of breathing to let their body rest and heal and protect the lungs from further injury. So, where do we begin when a patient is intubated and connected to a vent? The initial setup is crucial. You'll typically start with a specific mode of ventilation. Two of the most common modes are assist control or ACI and synchronized intermittent mandatory ventilation or SIMV. In AC mode, the ventilator delivers a set tidal volume or pressure every time the patient takes a breath, and also delivers breaths at a set rate if the patient doesn't initiate one. It provides full support. SIMV is a bit different. It delivers a set number of mandatory breaths, but allows the patient to take their own spontaneous breaths in between with their own volume. This mode is often used as a step towards weaning a patient off the ventilator. Once you have the mode, you need to set the parameters. Let's go through the key settings. First is the respiratory rate, which is the number of breaths the machine delivers per minute. Next is the tidal volume, the amount of air delivered with each breath. This is usually calculated based on the patient's ideal body weight, typically around 6 to 8 milliliters per kilogram, to prevent lung injury. Then we have the FiO2 or fraction of inspired oxygen. This is the percentage of oxygen in the air being delivered, ranging from 21%, which is room air, up to 100%. The goal is to use the lowest possible FiO to maintain adequate oxygen saturation. Finally, there's PEEP, or positive end expiratory pressure. This is the small amount of pressure kept in the lungs at the end of exhalation to keep the tiny air sacs, the alveoli, from collapsing. PEEP helps improve oxygenation. Now, once the patient is on the ventilator, your job shifts to monitoring. This is where you become a detective. You need to constantly assess your patient and the ventilator. Look at your patient first. Are they comfortable? Is their chest rising and falling equally with each breath? What do their vitals look like? Check their oxygen saturation, heart rate, and blood pressure. Listen to their lung sounds. Are they clear, or do you hear crackles or wheezes? Then turn your attention to the ventilator monitor. You'll see waveforms that show pressure, flow, and volume with each breath. Learning to interpret these can tell you so much about what's happening with your patient's lungs. You'll also monitor key numbers like peak inspiratory pressure, which tells you the resistance the vent is meeting to deliver a breath. A sudden spike in this pressure could mean there's a problem, like a kink in the tubing, a mucus plug, or a more serious issue like a pneumothorax. And that brings us to alarms. Ventilator alarms are your safety net. They are loud and annoying for a reason. They demand your attention. Never, ever silence an alarm without first figuring out why it's going off. Common alarms include high pressure, which we just discussed, and low pressure, which could mean there's a leak in the system or the patient has disconnected from the ventilator. At low-minute ventilation. Alarms mean the patient isn't getting enough air over a minute. Always check your patient first, then the machine and the tubing, working your way from the patient back to the vent. Finally, a huge part of ventilator management is weaning. The ultimate goal is to get the patient breathing on their own again. This is a collaborative effort involving doctors, respiratory therapists, and nurses. Weaning trials, often called spontaneous breathing trials, are conducted to see if the patient is ready. During a trial, the ventilator support is reduced significantly, and the patient is closely monitored. If they can tolerate it without signs of distress, it's a great sign that they might be ready for extubation. Ventilator management is a complex skill, but with a solid understanding of the basics and diligent monitoring, you can make a massive difference in your patient's outcomes. It's all about practice, asking questions, and working with your team. I hope this overview was helpful. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe for more content to help you on your healthcare journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.